definitely got hot in here. It's getting hot in here. All right, ladies, make sure you have your water, of course, and go ahead and lie on your back. So same thing as usual, you're gonna lie down on your back. You can have your knees bent. If your low back is bothering you, sometimes if your buttocks and hips are bothering you, keeping your knees bent can be really beneficial. You can put a pillow or a bolster underneath your knees. Or if it feels better for you to lie in like a Shavasana pose, when your legs are straight, then you can do that as well. Totally up to you. When you get there, your arms are going to rest by your sides and the palms are going to face up towards the ceiling. And you will gently close your eyes. And we will start with 3 cleansing breaths. So 3 times. You are breathing in through your nose, you're opening your mouth, and you're giving a really deep sigh out through the mouth. Good. Lovely. Lovely, Arno. So after those 3 sighs, the breath will come just in and out through the nose. Remember that at any point in time, if you'd like to engage your Ujjayi breath, you can do so. Just creating that very slight constriction in the back of the throat. And you might hear me refer to that Ujjayi breath throughout class, just as a way to keep you connected not only to the breath itself, but also to the present moment that you are currently in. And speaking of that present moment, just also being aware of how every millisecond of the breath that goes by, you're paying attention to it, you are here and you are in your now. The power of being in the now. And as you pay attention to the inhalation, perhaps you notice what part or parts of the body start to move first. That very first millisecond of the inhalation, do you feel the lower ribs or the upper ribs or the abdomen or the chest, collarbones? Where does that breath come into the body first? And perhaps you even slow the breath down a bit and you just observe as the inhalation gets deeper, what parts of the body start to shift and move as that inhalation deepens. So just paying very close attention to each millisecond of the breath and how it affects the physical part of the body. And of course, just as you do that for the inhalation, noticing the second that the exhalation is released from the body, what part releases first physically? What area begins to kind of descend and relax first. And also, as that exhalation slows down and deepens, observing as you did with the inhale, which parts of the body release like second and third and fourth and fifth, and where does the body release from at the very last moment of the exhalation? And for all of us, it's different. Right? We all breathe in different ways to different parts of the body, different lengths and depths. And then realizing that during this quick exercise that we're doing, where you're observing each moment of the inhale and the exhale and how that correlates to each moment of your physical body, and going full circle, how that allows you to not be in the past and not be in the future, but to be right here in this present moment. And then maybe just planting this little seed in your mind and say to yourself, when I feel myself becoming stressed, I will pay attention to my breath. And just say that to yourself 3 times, kind of dropping that seed in the ground and putting a little dirt on it, giving it a little sprinkle of water so that it can grow. And perhaps next time that you are feeling stressed, you will remember to come to your breath. And then letting your fingers and your toes start to wiggle a little bit, bringing some movement back the body, letting that awareness expand back out into the room that you're in. Worked on that like 6 months ago, how you can literally feel the energy expand out of the body and mind and into the space that you are resting. And as we often do, you can start these beginning exercises on your back with your eyes closed. Sometimes that feels better. Or you can choose to open your eyes, but we're going to do a knee hug. Just draw those knees in towards the chest here. Rock it a little bit side to side. So a gentle twist in the low back, gentle twist in the hips, the buttocks. Beautiful. And then letting those knees roll in a circle. So let this circle be pretty small, pretty tight in towards the chest here. I'm working on really releasing through your low back. If you do want this to be more core focused, then place your hands down on the floor and allow your abdominals to move the knees in this nice tight circle. So you're really trying to keep the knees towards the chest and the body, Again, that is going to help engage the core. And then reverse that circle and just move it around the opposite direction. And with the option of hands on your knees for a little more support, or hands on the floor for a little more core engagement. Awesome. All right, now wrap your arms around your knees again. And as you exhale, you're going to lift your head, maybe your shoulders, and come up into this nice tight little ball. And then as you inhale, you're just going to bring the head and shoulders back down. So you're doing this with your breath, right? Another little bit of core work. If this doesn't feel good for you, you can simply bring your knees into your chest and rock side to side if you like, or just keep the knees in the chest and be still. Awesome. Next time your head comes back down, keep your head down. You are going to keep your right knee in towards the chest here. You're holding that leg with both hands. Your left leg is going to come straight out, but it's going to hover over the mat. We're just going to do these kind of modified bicycles. So right knee squeezes in, and then you're going to switch. You're going to straighten that right leg, bring the left knee in, and then you'll switch. Right? Doesn't have to be fast. You want to try to draw your low back down into the floor. If you find that you want more challenge on that core, you're going to lift your head and your shoulders and try to keep them up until you feel like you want to put them back down. And you're just drawing those knees alternating side to side in towards the chest. The next time that right knee comes into the chest, you're going to drop your head back down, bend your left knee, place your foot on the floor, and then grab behind the right thigh. Flex your right foot. So it's like you're pushing something away with your heel. And we'll do a little leg extension. So as you inhale, you straighten that right leg up towards the ceiling. Heel pushes up. As you exhale, you bend the knee, bring it back into the chest. Inhaling as you straighten that leg, push the heel up, pull the toes back. Exhale as you bend that knee, drawing it back towards the chest. And so sometimes when we have low back pain or hip pain, sometimes that can correlate to the back of the leg, the hamstring being tight. It's always good to stretch that. Let's do one more. And then you're just going to cross that right ankle over that bent left knee, coming into a pigeon. So you can stay modified right here where you keep your left foot on the floor. You might even rock the knees a little side to side if you like. If you want a deeper pigeon pose, then of course you're drawing those knees into the chest, just grabbing behind your left thigh. And you want to flex the foot to protect those knees. And again, if you like to rock a little side to side, you can. Right. I like to rock side to side until I find where I really need that stretch, and then I like to stay there and breathe. Some people like to rock side to side the whole time. Some people like to just stay still. So remember, do whatever feels best for you. And we're going to be in this position for a minute. About halfway through that minute. Very nice. So release that left foot down. Hug the right knee into the chest one more time, but straighten your left leg out onto the mat. You want to flex that left foot. We're coming into a spinal twist here. So left hand's grabbing the right knee, right arm out to the side, kind of parallel with the shoulder, maybe a little bit lower, palm down. And then as you exhale, just twisting, bringing that knee across the body towards the left side. So remember, as far as alignment is concerned here, and you guys know I'm a stickler with alignment. If you find that your right shoulder is coming off of the floor, then your right leg is too far across your body. Okay. So you want to make sure that right shoulder stays planted down, and then you bring the knee across the body only as far as you can keep the shoulder on the floor. Otherwise, it kind of gives you a funky twist in your spine, and we don't want that. And so while we're here, you're breathing deep, breathing slow. On the exhalations, maybe just trying to focus on releasing through that outer hip area, the low back area. Very good. Bring it all the way back to center. Place your right foot on the floor. Knee is bent. And draw that left knee in. Grab behind your thigh, coming right into those leg extensions on the left side now. So flex your left foot. And then you're going to straighten the leg, push the heel towards the ceiling. And then you exhale and you bend the knee and you draw it back into the chest. And then when you're straightening that leg, think of heel up, toes are going to pull back towards the shin. You're going to be on the floor for a large portion of the class today. Focus on stretching out the hips, little core. Good. We're going to do one more of these leg extensions. And then when that knee bends, just coming into that pigeon pose, of course, now on the other side. So you can stay exactly where you are in this kind of modified pigeon. You can sway back and forth. If you want a little more stretch, drawing the knees in by grabbing behind that right thigh, flex your feet. And then if you want to rock a little side to side, of course, you can do that. And just keeping in mind that we are here for 1 minute. So you've got time to kind of adjust yourself a little bit, find the right place where you want to be. Breathe. About 15 seconds left. Great. Release that down. Hug that left knee in towards the chest. This time, straighten your right leg. Right? Push that right heel away. And then coming into that spinal twist on the other side. So as you exhale, knee comes across the body. Remember the alignment point here. So if that left shoulder lifts up, the knee is too far across the body. You don't want to do that. And maybe letting that breath deepen again. Exhaling, focusing on releasing through the hip, releasing through the low back. Awesome. Bring it all the way back to center. Shift your hips back so they're in the middle again. And again, place both feet on the mat. Knees are going to be bent. So you can do this next portion with your head lifted or not. I'm going to demonstrate it with the head lifted just slightly. So my knees are hip distance apart. My feet are planted on the floor. My arms are by my sides. I'm going to lift my head up. I'm going to tuck my chin a little bit here. And I'm just going to reach my right hand towards my foot. Like it doesn't have to touch, right? And then I'm going to come back to center and I'm going to reach my left hand towards my foot. And then I'll come back to center. You just kind of go side to side. So this will bring some strength into the side of the torso, the side of the core. It gets to your back, gets to the obliques. And sometimes we do this and our neck feels tired. And if that's the case, then put your head down. And you can do this with the head on the floor and still just kind of reaching side to side here. Awesome. Go ahead and release everything back down. We're going to make our way up to sit. So you can simply roll to your side and come to sit, or you can do the roll like a ball. You bring your knees in towards the chest. You're going to use your core a little bit. You might come up. Try not to let your toes touch. Roll back. Come back up. Try not to let the toes touch. Roll back. And just do this a few times. So it's actually really feels good on your spine. It's a nice little massage on the spine. But you also are using your core to stop you from planting your feet on the ground. If you are rolling like a ball, do one more. And then we'll come all the way up to sit. Very nice. All righty, we are coming into Sukhasana, cross-legged pose. Great. So I had somebody tell me a while ago that they wanted to work on being able to come be in a sitting position and come into a standing position. And one of the ways that you do that is to be able to come into a forward fold from this position here. All right, so your feet are flexed, calves are supported, and you are just going to start to lean forward. Okay, so if I show this from the side view, right, I'm not doing this, but it's kind of like when we do that pigeon pose and we're seated, right? And I say, move from the hip crease. Think of your chest coming over your legs, right? And you just start to walk the hands out. So not only does this help you work towards that standing up position, aside from strengthening your legs a lot, this also is going to help you stretch out your low back. It's going to help you stretch out that hip area. right? And so maybe your hands walk forward so much that eventually you can let your head drop. Right, but you guys know me well enough to know that anytime we're in a forward fold, I think taking sighs are one of the best things. You release so much tension. So if you want to take some sighs, some really slow, deep breaths, like now is a great time to do that. And then wherever you are going to just walk your hands over to the right side. So you're going to still in this forward fold, but the hands are coming over to the right, almost like you're in like what we do in child's pose. Right? And then let your head drop again. So with the hands to the right side, you should be feeling a stretch on the left side, the left back. If it feels like too much stretch, you can kind of draw your left hand back to the left a bit towards that right knee, and that'll take some of that stretch away. Or if you want more stretch, then you really reach far with that left hand. But as you inhale, just bring yourself back to center. And then as you exhale, walk it on over to the left, of course. Let your head drop. Breathe nice and slow. I even play a little bit with noticing, is your abdomen very relaxed? And if it is, can you pull it in a little bit, engage the abdomen, and see if you can release a little bit more through your back? So it's called reciprocal inhibition. And all that means, it's a fancy term for saying if you want one side of your body to stretch, you have to engage the opposite side of the body. Again, just remembering if it's too much stretch, you just draw that right hand back towards the left knee a little bit. If you want more, reach the right hand further away. Beautiful. Bring yourself all the way back to center. Slowly roll yourself up. Been in that forward fold for a little bit of time. So we need to stretch the front of the body a little bit now. Hands are going to come behind you. Just roll the shoulders back. Arch the back a little bit. Try to lift your chest as much as you can. Maybe you look up. Good. Bring yourself back to center. Awesome. Take your left hand on the floor. Reach the right arm up, maybe over. If it feels better to have the arm in front of you, you can do that. But I am trying to kind of open up the front body here. Good. Lovely. And then bring yourself all the way back up. Switch sides. Right arm down. Left arm lifts up, maybe over. Good. Keep the core engaged. Right. Pull the abdominals in. Cinch the front ribs together. Beautiful. Bring yourself back to center. You are going to go ahead and bend both of your knees. We're going to do a seated pigeon now. So the left knee is going to stay bent. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee. Okay. If that feels like really close to your body, just start to straighten your left leg a little bit and it won't be as intense. If you find that you want it more intense, you're drawing your left foot in towards your body. And I kind of get to a certain point. I'll show you from this direction. I get to a certain point where I can't draw it in anymore, but if I want more stretch, I just bring my hips closer to my heels and then scoot my hands up. Okay. And then if you want to rock it a little side to side, of course you can, right? The more you go to the left, the more stretch you're typically going to feel in that right hip area, like that piriformis, right outer glute area. Let the breath deepen. Beautiful. And you will release out of that by straightening the left leg, straighten the right leg, and then, of course, switch sides. So left ankle over the right knee. You start to draw that right foot in towards the body just as much as it feels good for you. Like you're only going to when you feel a stretch. If you do want more and you can't bring the foot in, scoot your hips closer. Seated pigeon. And then you rock it a little side to side. Okay. You find a spot where you want to stay. You're like, ah, oh, that's it right there. Right? Then you just stay there and you breathe. Beautiful. Release out of this. You're going to let both of those legs straighten, and then you're going to bend your right knee. This is Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose. But we're going to work a little on core first, right? And all that means is we're going to try to sit as upright and still as we can, and that is going to work your core tremendously. So the left leg is straight. You're flexing your foot. The foot is being pushed away from the body, right? Your right knee is supported if it's uncomfortable, otherwise down towards the floor. And then you're going to lift your chest up, roll the shoulders back. Okay, so some people, right, sometimes we want to hold on to this right leg. That's fine. Some of us want to reach our hands behind us. That's fine. What I'm looking for is an open chest. Your back is engaged. If this feels easy and you want more, then you might lift your arms up, right? You're going to have to turn on your leg a lot more, press the thigh down, lift the chest up. Right? Notice if you're leaning to one side, feel the sits bones. Breathe. Good. Let the shoulders relax. Yes, that's it. Awesome. If your arms are up, release them down. You're going to lift this right knee. You're going to bring it across the leg, the left leg. Hug it in nice and tight. Left leg is still super engaged. So this is your foundation, right? This is what's keeping you stable is the left leg. So press the thigh down, push the heel away. So you might stay here. It's a little hip stretch. If you want to come into a twist, then you can grab the knee with the left arm, take the right hand behind you, twist. And keep the chest high, left leg very engaged, very, very engaged. Right? The more you draw that right knee in towards your chest, the more stretch you're going to feel in that outer hip area. Trying to get lots of those stretches in. Beautiful. Slowly come out of that. Straighten both legs. Lift the chest nice and high. Press both thighs down. Both heels away. Good. And then draw the left knee in, Janu Sirsasana, but we're just going to focus on the lifted part of it. So again, if that's uncomfortable on your knee, give it support. Pillow, blanket, bolster, whatever you got. And then right thighs pushing down a lot. Right heels pushing away a lot. And if you want to hold the leg, you can. If you want to take those hands behind you, you can. Right? But you'll notice I'm not slumping. The idea is I stay nice and lifted. If it feels okay, you might lift your arms out. That makes this right thigh turn on a lot, a lot. If the right thigh is not turned on and pressing down and you lift your arms, you're going to feel it more in your back, right? You want to feel this more, I would say, in that thigh, right thigh, than you do in your back. That's what grounds you and keeps you stable. As I said, it's your foundation. Breathe. Love it. Take those arms down if they are up, and then we're coming into that stretch. Right? So left foot on the other side of the right thigh. Hug it nice and tight. You can stay here if that stretch feels good. If you want to twist, come into your twist. Right? Left hand just coming behind the body. Maybe your head follows, looking over the back shoulder. And maybe that doesn't feel good. You keep your head the same direction as your chest. It's okay too. Beautiful. Slowly bring yourself back to center. Good. Straighten the legs. Press both thighs down, both heels away. Notice if you're leaning back. See if you can kind of come to the front of the sits bones. Like I have to move my flesh away from my sit bones a bit so I can really get forward. And this is just Dandasana, staff pose. So you're going to take both hands down by your sides, roll the shoulders back, lift up nice and high through the chest. This specific pose for a good 8 years was the hardest yoga pose for me. Really got to engage the legs, really push the heels away. A lot of people, it's easy. I don't know why. It was so hard for me. But breathe. So that means I really know how to do it because I worked on it for a long, long time. Engage those legs. Good. Slowly release out of that. You are going to cross your legs. Okay. And we are going to come into a tabletop position. And you can try this. If you try this and you're like, not today, Christy, then just come into tabletop, right? But legs are crossed and you're just going to try to roll over them and then place your hands down slowly and then uncross the legs and come to your tabletop. So that's also helping give you that action of moving forward to stand up eventually. Good. And that's just, something you can keep playing with over and over. And the more you do it, the easier it'll be. Awesome. All righty. So once you're in your tabletop, we'll just flow through a few cat cows here. You guys know the drill. Exhale as that tailbone drops, head drops. Inhale as the tailbone lifts and the head lifts. Bring yourself back to just tabletop. Nice flat back. So that means the lower abdominals are tucked in just a tad. And you're going to straighten your right leg. And I want you to bring it over across to the left side of the mat. It can even come off of the mat. Good. And then you're going to look over your left shoulder towards that right foot. So you're almost like in this kind of like an arch, like a rainbow position. So right foot on the left side of the mat or off of it. And then head looking over the left shoulder towards that right foot. Beautiful. Bring that right leg back to center. We're going to come to spinal balance, our balance pose for today. If you want to lift the right leg up, you can. Flex the foot. If you want to reach your left arm out in front of you, you can. Breathe. And just notice as we hold this, all those little tiny muscles that start to twitch, all these fast twitch muscles. Just trying to keep you still. So we have these big, huge, large muscles that we're most familiar with, but then we have all these little tiny muscles. And that's what we're working right now. Good. Release that down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Right? So you're going to straighten your left leg, but you're going to bring it across to the right side of the mat, maybe off of the mat. And then you'll look over your right shoulder. So you're kind of in this arched position on the left, getting a nice side body stretch on the left side. Beautiful. Bring yourself back to center. If you want to lift the left leg, you can. If you prefer to keep it on the floor, do that. And then that right arm is going to reach out in front of you, spinal balance. We're holding this for a moment. And then just kind of pay attention. Of course, we're working some large muscles too, our glute, right? Some of the muscles in our back, our shoulders. But you'll start to feel, although they're called intrinsic muscles, these fast twitch muscles inside of the body that are really having to work to hold you in this position, this balanced position. So just being aware of those muscles and how they're moving. Good. Bring yourself back to center and then have your big toes touch. See if you can bring your knees a little closer together for this child's pose. Right? So the buttocks come back towards the heels. And if that's uncomfortable on the knees, again, put a blanket or a pillow in between your thighs and your calves. And then you're actually going to take your hands by your feet, palms up, and let your head drop towards the floor. The floor feels really far away. Give yourself support, the block or a pillow, blanket. So this is a more relaxed child's pose. The back is rounded. Eyes are great. Very nice. Slowly bring yourself all the way back up to tabletop. Good. Take your knees hip distance apart one more time here. And then you're going to drop down. So you want to, alignment wise, keep your hips over your knees. Okay. And you're just going to drop your upper body down. So maybe you come onto your forearms here and you let your head drop towards the floor. Maybe you start to reach your arms out in front of you and your head, your forehead is what is supporting you with your forehead on the floor. This is called puppy pose. Legs, hips still in tabletop, and then doing a little bit of an upper body stretch here. Placing those hands back underneath the shoulders, push yourself back up. And then we are going to come onto our backs. So I told you it would be pretty much on the floor the whole time today. By all means, grab your water when you need it. Because once you come to your backs, you do a little bit of some bridge work. Right, so knees are bent, feet are hip distance apart. I want you to pretend before we even think about lifting our hips, okay, that you have a block in between your inner thighs and you're squeezing that block, okay? Your feet aren't going to move, but it's like you're pushing your feet towards each other, towards the middle, but don't let them actually move. If you actually have a block, put a block between your knees. Good. Arms are going to rest down by your sides. And we'll just start with some hip lifts. So you're going to tuck your tailbone towards the ceiling so the low back presses down to the floor. And you're going to press those feet down and just kind of lift your hips up. And then exhale, roll it all the way back down. Okay. Just kind of moving nice and slow, your own pace here. One thing I will say is pay attention to the tailbone the whole time. So it's not that your low back is arching. Think of your tailbone moving towards your knees the whole time. So there's length in the low back. And when that happens, you get more stretch in the front of the thighs, less discomfort in the low back, some strength in the buttocks, strength in the hamstrings. And when we're doing hip lifts, that's really what we're looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Right, so those heels are pressing down, but they're also squeezing towards one another. Good. The next time that you come up into this little hip lift, you're going to stay there and you're just going to give these teeny tiny little pulses. So you'll pulse up and down, tailbone moving towards the knees, right? Glutes might be feeling some work. It's okay. And then bring those knees all the way, or sorry, those hips all the way back down. Awesome. Flex the feet and then just rock side to side with the knees, windshield wipers. And one last thing before Shavasana, hugging those knees into the chest. The shoulders relax. And those knees into the chest here. Just be still and take some sighs. And you'll make your way into your preferred Shavasana, right? So you've got constructive rest pose where the feet are about as wide as the mat and the knees drop in towards each other. Just have the knees bent, regular hip distance. You can straighten the legs. The arms will be by your sides regardless. Palms are going to face up to the ceiling. And we'll be in this Shavasana pose about 4 minutes. As always, with all classes in the comfort of your own home and space, you want to stay and continue to relax. You can stay and I'll end the meeting for you. You do choose to return. You'll start to move your body in any way that feels good. So you're rolling the wrists to the ankles, stretching, eventually coming up to sit comfortably. I appreciate all of you for taking care of yourselves today, doing something important and special that's just for you. And not everybody takes that time. And always remember self care is not selfish. So I love you all. Peaceful thoughts, peaceful words, peaceful intention. Namaste. Much love. Yeah. Peace and love. Wonderful.